Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Paul Van Kleef of Nannocare. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hall.
So what was your background before starting this company you're in now?
I went to business college in Los Angeles and learned a lot of ropes there. I ended up going to a few different business consulting companies. And then I realized that my real passion was startups and starting my own business. My background is my family have a resort in Canada and real estate and have a lot of different startups they've been doing over the years. And it's sort of just in my blood. So I just started doing actually one company called Coffee Melts was my very first company. It was chocolates that I distributed to Whole Foods that would flavor your coffee. It was pretty impressive at the time.
So what led you to start working in the healthcare space?
Well, actually, my background right before I got into Nannocare was product distribution on a massive scale. So I had a product called the Zap Light, and it's a mosquito killing light bulb, and learned all about product distribution on a major scale. And I really wanted to get into the space of healthcare, also helping women and basically dealing with some issues that my girlfriend at the time was experiencing, major cramping, pain, bloating. So I was started to dabble and research in that area. So just really on a help flow, really want to help her.
So we have a lot of investors who listen to the show and always ask, what's your advice for people that want to invest in this space or this sector that you're in now? Of course, most investors are looking for a good team, product, etc. But more specifically to this area, what would you advise them to look for?
I would look for, actually the really hot term right now is femtech. So there's a huge amount of startups and energy going to feminine technologies. So if it's our product, if it's different products, really working in the high-tech feminine area. So that is really look for those innovative products. I would really look for people that find an industry or an area that's really disruptable. So looking at the pad industry hasn't really changed at all, but feminine care is really changing. The options now available are enormous, and the internet is really having a big effect on a lot of innovation.
Well, great. So let's talk further about that. Tell us more about the fintech industry sector itself. How big is it? How is it growing? And of course, as you said, the web is changing it so much, but what else is impacting it would be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I mean, the industry in feminine care where I'm coming from is $20 to $25 billion industry. It's enormous. It's mostly dominated by a lot of the legacy brands, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, etc. But the startup industry is really kind of coming in and really disrupting that area. I think that there's hundreds of millions of dollars being poured into startups in the femtech area. And especially with the Me Too movement, a lot of people really are trying to support innovation in feminine products.
What would you say is the biggest impact on returns in this sector?
I think the biggest impact probably would be innovative products around digital products, actually. So there's a lot of apps, there's a lot of companies that are actually dealing with period tracking, pregnancy tracking. Those areas are just becoming massive. Almost every millennial, every woman is using a period tracking app, a pregnancy app. And I've noticed working with some of my friends and colleagues in this area that area is growing enormously and it's becoming a standard.
So who are some of the key companies playing in this sector?
The key companies, obviously, there's the legacy of the larger brands such as Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson, etc. But then there's some of the startups such as a lot of subscription brands, so like Lola and Rail, and there's actually several different startups that are having huge impacts, dominating sales on Amazon with organic products. Rail just launched into Target last month. This is L. They're a company that actually just got purchased by, I think it might have been Procter & Gamble in February for about $100 million. And their company essentially was just mainly organic cotton pads. Nothing very special, just a very organic cotton pad. that was distributed in about 5,000 CVS locations. And they had a great exit last February.
So what are the challenges in this space as far as regulatory or market or technical? Where do you see as the key element that holds you back or guides what you do in this sector?
Yeah, so as for our company, there has been a lot of regulatory scrutiny. This is a very intimate product, intimate area. A lot of these products are actually going to be touching women. So FDA is definitely watching us, keeping an eye, making sure everything's safe. Class 1 and class 2 devices are very common. Majority of the pads and creams are class 1 exempt. And then some of the more invasive products, such tampons, etc., are class 2. So it takes a lot more push to get that regulatory approval. But I think that it's worth it. It takes a couple of years to really work with the FDA and get approvals, but they're really cooperative and they're working with us and they want to make sure that there's a lot of innovation in this area.
Well, let's talk more about Nannocare. How does Nannocare fit into the landscape? Exactly what sector is it in and where is it positioned?
We're basically a disruptive company. We started off with a goal is solving an issue with women that is cramping and bloating, and women having to use 5 to 10 Advils or Tylenols a day during their major cramping issues. So we came up with a product that's specifically in the fem care area, feminine hygiene pads. We have an innovative patented technology that we built into our pads that works with your body naturally and creates a microcirculation of the blood. Essentially, what happens is you actually get pain-causing molecules building up during that time of the month. And our pad actually works to disperse those pain-causing molecules. So there's actually quite a bit of a reduction in the pain, the cramping, etc. We have quite a few tests we've done, blind placebo tests in England and also here in the US and in Asia. And we have amazing results. So we really want to bring something that's different. Dealing with some of the larger retailers, there really isn't any innovation. You go into an aisle, all there is essentially just pads. That's it. You got pads, there's no innovation. They're majority non-organic pads, so they have a lot of chemicals and toxins and things in there that are probably not good for women. We're really coming on strong to change that. And we really expect to be moving into other areas, such as tampons and other areas in that sector.
Well, great. So in the last few minutes that we have for today, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I guess Nannocare is an expanding company. We just basically launched into 4,200 CVSs nationwide last week. And we have expansion in Mexico, expansion in Canada with the retailers there. So we're on a track to really, really grow. I think that if you want to invest into the sector, it's a very, very ripe and opportune time. It's changing more than it has in the past 5 years than it has in probably 50 years. So I'm really excited for the future, and we're experiencing explosive growth, and we continue to expand it worldwide.
Well, great. Well, how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Well, they can basically contact us through our website or message us through info@nannocare.com, or they can always contact you, Hall. You're a good friend of mine, and definitely keep in touch.
Great. Well, we'll put that in the show notes. Thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up to see how things are going shortly.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Hall. Thanks for your time.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.